Today we celebrate Corpus Christi, which is a Latin word for the body of Christ. Jesus says, "This is my body, this is my blood." Understandings about the Eucharist have been one of the major points of division between Christians right throughout history. And even until today, many Catholics find it very difficult to accept what Jesus said about himself and the Eucharist. Studies have been done and have said that perhaps in the ranges of 60 to 70% of Catholics don't believe what the Church has taught right from the time of Jesus about the Eucharist, that Jesus is actually present here. And that probably explains why in this country, on a good weekend, we might get about 15% of Catholics across Australia participate in Mass. On most weekends, it's probably in the range, pre-COVID, in the ranges of about 8 to 10%. And we're probably below that at the moment. People have often said, though, if what Jesus actually said is true, then this is the most incredible miracle ever possible. But I know for myself, and I know having heard from many other people, sometimes there are questions, there are doubts, and we can think, did Jesus really mean that? That this is his body, this is his blood? We see and we look and we see it just looks like bread. It's not really his body. It's just a symbol. It's just something that, it's a meaningful food perhaps. Or we might feel comfortable or together by being here. But Jesus doesn't say, this is a symbol of me. And he doesn't say, eat this and you're going to feel good. He said, this is my body. This is my blood. It couldn't be more strong. And when questioned about it, when Jesus talks this way, he talked this way after the feeding of the 5,000, people say to him, how can you speak like this? That this is my body, we've got to eat of your flesh? They said, this is terrible, we can't accept this. And Jesus went stronger and he said, you must eat of my flesh. Unless you eat of my body, you will not have life in you. This is what Jesus says. And so as Catholics, we come. And we come and do what Jesus asked us to do. Jesus gave us a great covenant. The first reading today talked about the covenant of the Old Testament. That the Jewish people were asked to do a specific ritual. And it was talked about how certain animals got slaughtered, blood got scattered, and literally you hear Moses throwing the blood at the people. This is what was described in the first reading. I think that was a pretty hard ritual to participate in. And Jesus comes and he says, I give you my blood, the blood of the new covenant. Not the blood that will be strewn on you and thrown on you, the blood of an animal, but the blood that might look like wine. The bread, that what we see might look like bread, but we know it's not bread. It is the body of Christ. It looks like wine, but it is the blood of Christ. And it is offered for us for our renewal, for our healing. And it is a great gift. We shouldn't take it for granted. We should cherish this gift. Over the last 2 days, we've had many people, hundreds in our parish, who've come into the church to pray in silence with the presence of Jesus in the monstrance. Some of you probably came in for Mass this evening and were probably wondering what was going on. You mightn't have seen this before. This is called benediction. And for all of yesterday until 9 p.m. and all of today from 8:30 this morning up until just when we started Mass this evening, we've had people here in our church praying for three main things. And we've been asked by our Pope to pray for three main things. One, for an end to COVID. Two, for peace in our world, especially in the Holy Land. And then to pray for the renewal of belief and mission within the church and especially within our own parish. And people have come and prayed and spent time with Jesus. The Jewish people of old, in this first reading, they would come and they would experience a very strange experience of God. Animals getting slaughtered, blood getting strewn on them. But they knew this was something that was making them whole. This was making them right with God. What we have in our gospel today is referred to sometimes as the Last Supper. The Last Supper brings an end to the impact of the First Supper. Because if there was a last one, there must have been a first one. The First Supper was the meal of Adam and Eve in the garden, where they took, they ate, they gave. Literally, we hear that language in the book of Genesis. They took that and it brought death upon them. It brought destruction and it separated them from God. What happens at the Last Supper brings an end to this. Jesus takes, he breaks, he gives, and they eat. And Jesus says, "This is my body, and do this in remembrance of me." And this is what we do. For the Jewish people of old, they continued the sacrifices, the bloody sacrifices, as they would refer to them. We participate in the new covenant, the new sacrifice, and it brings new life in each of us. Let's treasure this gift. Let us look with the eyes of faith and say, yes, we're going to believe. Sometimes on a Sunday evening, I will go down the coast with my mum and sometimes some members of my family. And we have a place down the south coast. And we often like to just go down, especially in times of like this time of the year, go down on the beach in the sort of 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night when it's quite dark. And we'll look up at the night sky and see the millions of stars. It's quite interesting. When we're looking at stars, we're actually not looking at something that's there now. We're looking at something that was there in the past. And we're just seeing the light now. And sometimes our eyes can trick us. We can think we're seeing something. We're actually seeing something that could have been thousands and thousands of years ago. That's the beauty of stars. But that's also what happens at the altar. Our eyes can trick us. They can say, yes, we think we're seeing bread. We think we're seeing wine. But we know it's not bread, it's not wine, but it is the presence of God, the body, the blood of Christ. This is what Jesus says. He doesn't say it's a symbol. He doesn't say eat this and it's going to make you feel good. He says, this is my body. This is my blood. Let's treasure this gift. Let's love this gift of the Eucharist. Let's promote a love for this gift of our Eucharist. Throughout our church tonight, we have some of our First Holy Communion candidates who will enrol after Mass. Over the next few months, they will come to a deeper experience and knowledge and hopefully a personal belief in the presence of the Eucharist. Let's tonight all recommit to believing that Jesus is truly amongst us tonight. When we come forward to receive communion, we're given the ability to be able to handle God amongst us. Cherish this, almost like you're handling a little baby, a newborn child. Treasure the gift of the Eucharist. Receive God into you. And let us go and become Christ as we leave from the church. This is my body, this is my blood. Let's believe, let us love, let us cherish this gift. And let us go into the world with Christ within us.